Hello, and welcome back to learning the Sefer Chafetz Chaim together, Shmir Salashon. Today we will be learning day 7, a historical perspective. And in this day, the Chafetz Chaim goes into detail how Lashon Hara created destruction from the very first day of creation. So it was actually the very first sin that was ever committed. What happened in the Garden of Eden? God told Adam and Eve that there was one tree that they could not eat from. So the serpent came along and he said to Chava, to Eve, and he said, you know why God doesn't want you to eat from that tree? It's because that's how he became God, by eating from this magical tree. And if you eat from it, you'll also become God. And he doesn't want competition with you. It's almost like something similar that we can imagine hearing or saying today, right? Someone coming over to someone in a business and saying, you know why he's not making you his partner? He's jealous of you. He knows that you will totally overtake the business. You should approach him on that because he's not doing right by you. That's exactly what the serpent was saying to Chava. He was saying, eat from that tree and you will become just like God. And the particular method that the serpent used was so successful because he did a combination of two things. He used Lashon Hara, speaking badly about someone, and something called rechilas, gossip. When you tell somebody else, Lashon Hara, speaking badly, is when you just say negative about someone, right? They're a jealous person, they're an ugly person, whatever negative thing you say. Rechilas is actual gossip when you tell someone what someone else is doing about them. You see your sister over there? She doesn't have your best interest in mind. She told me that she purposely wants to make sure that you don't get the inheritance, that you specifically don't. That's gossip, when you tell somebody what someone else is doing against them. And most of the time it's not even true or correct. So the serpent used both of those methods. He claimed that Hashem was not concerned with their best interests and that Hashem was merely using a ploy to keep them from competing with him. And we know too well what transpired from this Lashon Hara. They ended up eating from the tree. They got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Man was then cursed that he's going to have to work and toil in order to make money. Women were then cursed with the pain of childbirth, and death was introduced into the world. So the Chafetz Chaim puts it very clearly. One who speaks Lashon Hara attaches himself to a practice that destroys the world, literally. Then he says that the very first exile that the Jewish people have ever been in was because of Lashon Hara. Which exile was that? Of course, Egypt, which we're about to celebrate, the Geula and coming out of Egypt. The Chafetz Chaim says the main reason for the Jews suffering in Egypt was Lashon Hara. Yosef, the brother, spoke Lashon Hara about his brothers. Therefore, heaven decreed that he would be sold into slavery. And as we know too well, Joseph was sold into slavery. He came down to Egypt. His brothers ended up joining him there. And the Jews ended up living in a land called Goshen, a part of Egypt. And eventually, they were turned into slaves, and we were in Egypt for many, many years. So it all stemmed from that original Lashon Hara that he used to speak about his brothers to his father when he would, he had a little bit of a haughtiness or a feeling that he was better than them, and that ended up leading to catastrophic outcomes. Further in the Torah, and we've discussed this a few days ago, that the spies spoke Lashon Hara about the land of Israel and Hashem. They said Hashem is, they were in the desert and they went to go check out the land of Israel, and they saw giants, and they said they saw people having funerals, and they said it's a land that eats up its inhabitants. Don't go there. And the Jews cried, and Hashem said, you're crying for no reason, and because of this, I'm going to make this a day that you cry in the future. And on that day in the future is when the temples were destroyed and we came into the exile that we're in today. So, such is the damage which Lashon Hara has wrought in our people's history. The first sin was the first sin that was ever committed, the underlying cause of our mortality, the catalyst which caused the Jewish people to be exiled in Egypt, and the cause of our exile today. So the Chafetz Chaim definitely dispels any myth that Lashon Hara is just, it's fine, just casual speech, we're just having fun. No, it's the cause of a lot of bad things. So, in the merit of us learning together, may we only hear good things. May we hear refuah shalema for everybody who's sick, and may we hear an amazing miracle happen, and that this plague that we are currently in will go away, and we can resume our lives and hopefully resume them as better people who don't speak Lashon Hara. Have a great day.